Zombie Apocalypse.
So hello viewers, welcome to my channel Medicine Era. Today we are going to start the particular topic on the pharmacology of peptic ulcer. So now we are going to start the pharmacology of peptic ulcer. Okay, peptic ulcer means erosion of the gastric mucosal layer by HCl and pepsin. We have already known that. What are the common symptoms of peptic ulcer? Mainly heartburn, nausea. Nausea means the vomiting tendency. Substernal pain means pain on the region of back of your chest mainly. Hemorrhage means internal bleeding, and also gastric perforation, black tarry stools. These are the common symptoms of peptic ulcer. Okay. In the pathophysiology of peptic ulcer, we have already discussed these things, but we have to discuss the pharmacology right now. Okay. Pharmacology means the treatment and what are the drugs which are used in the treatment of peptic ulcer. Okay. So, mechanism of acid production, how the acid is produced in our stomach. So, at first intake of food, then gastrin release of gastrin. When we intake any food, then the release of gastrin takes place. Okay, so after the release of gastrin, the histamine releases takes place. Okay, so after the release of histamine, that histamine acts on the H2 receptors, and these H2 receptors are responsible for the activation of the parietal cells. So these parietal cells are responsible for the secretion of HCl, and that excess of HCl secretion or hydrochloric acid secretion leads to peptic ulcer. Okay, so what are the treatment procedures? Mainly, we have to take some general measures for treating the peptic ulcer. They are like bed rest, regular food habit, avoid smoking, no alcohol, no stress, limited use of NSAIDs. NSAIDs mean non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Okay, so these are the general measures we have to take to avoid the peptic ulcer. Okay, in case of NSAIDs, they are mainly aspirin, paracetamol, ibuprofen, are mainly the drugs which are used in the treatment of pain or pain sensation, in the treatment of pyrexia or fever, in the treatment of inflammatory diseases. Okay, so we have to avoid or limited use of this type of drugs, NSAIDs. Okay, so then these are the general measures. Then we have to take some antacids. Okay, what are antacids? Antacids are the weak bases. Okay, so they are mainly used to neutralize the gastric acid. Okay, so the acid which is already secreted, they have to neutralize them. Okay, so antacids are mainly the weak bases. When the weak bases are reacting with the HCl, they are converting that HCl into salt and water because it is a neutralizing reaction. So in this way, antacids are showing their actions, used to neutralize the acid already secreted. So you have to take in your mind that antacids does not produce any effect which will show that acid secretion is stopped, but they can only neutralize the gastric acid which is already secreted, but they do not stop the acid secretion. This is the main point. Okay. So in case of antacids, there are mainly two types of antacids we have used. Mainly one is systemic antacids and one is non-systemic antacids. Systemic antacids means the antacids which are directly absorbed into the blood. They are called the systemic antacids. As for example, sodium bicarbonate, okay, NaCO3. But they are using in this era is limited. Okay, so they are not using frequently in this era mainly. But in case of non-systemic antacids, they are not readily absorbed into the blood. So they are mainly making some coating over the ulceration. So if the ulceration is coated, then further HCl cannot come in contact with that particular ulcer. So the ulcer will be healed as soon as possible. So this is the main mechanism of non-systemic antacids. Okay, mainly aluminum hydroxide gel, calcium carbonate, magnesium hydroxides, they are the non-systemic antacids. Okay, you have to understand that what is systemic antacids and what is non-systemic antacids and how they react. Okay, and the examples are also very important. So the next term is, what are the ideal characteristics of an antacid? Mainly, an antacid should be quick acting. It does not liberate CO2, carbon dioxide. Okay, because this carbon dioxide which is liberated by this type of antacids will create the rebound hyperacidity that may be very fatal. Okay. They does not produce any systemic alkalosis because antacids are the bases. So if they using in a greater concentration in the blood, so they can change the blood pH into the basic pH, because we know that blood is a natural buffer. Its pH is 7.4. So if the pH of the blood become basic, so that is very dangerous for our body because it creates the systemic alkalosis. Okay, no interference with food. The food we have ingested, there should be not any type of interference with the antacid, okay, or the absorption of the food does not be affect with the antacids, okay. Palatable and inexpensive. The antacid should be palatable, well digested and inexpensive. So these are the characteristics of an ideal antacid, okay. And in case of peptic ulcer, you have to know that you have to take some general measures at first, okay. So these are the general measures you have to take at first. Then if the general measure taken is not enough for that cure of the peptic ulcer, then you have to take the particular antacids or any other type of drugs, okay. So the next part is the anti-peptic ulcer drugs. Now we are going to start the anti-peptic ulcer medications. These are the medications which are used to stop the acid secretion or the ACL secretion. So according to their classifications, they are classified as number 1, H2 blockers or H2 receptor antagonist. Their main mechanism of action is that in case of parietal cells which are mainly secreting the HCl, in the surface of parietal cell there are H2 receptors, okay. These H2 receptors are responsible for the secretion of HCl, okay. So these H2 receptors are activating by histamine, okay. And if the histamine is not activating that, so then the HCl is not synthesized or secreted, okay. So in case of that, when histamine is activating that H2 receptor, the H plus ions are excreted out of that parietal cell and it will correlates with the Cl minus or chloride ions and it will form the HCl or hydrochloric acid. If we use the H2 blockers which can block the H2 receptor, then the H2 receptor is blocked and it will not activate, so the H plus ions are not secreted out of the parietal cell and the HCl cannot be formed. So by the blocking action of H2 receptors, these H2 blockers are inhibiting the HCl production, okay. So ADME, what are the pharmacokinetics? Absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion, okay. So this is administered by the oral route. 50% of bioavailability means 50% of this total medication is reaches to the systemic circulation, okay. Quick onset of action, 5 to 8 hours of effect. So its effect lasts for 5 to 8 hours. It is very important. And excreted by urine. So this medication is excreted via urine, okay. So what are the side effects? Side effects are mainly diarrhea, headache, drowsiness, fatigue, constipation and mental confusion. These are the side effects are here for this medication, H2 receptor blockers or H2 antagonist. Okay, so the doses are 200 to 300 mg of tablets. Mainly 200 to 300 mg of tablets are marketed for that type of medication. Okay. So the next part is Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. What is Zollinger-Ellison syndrome? Means in case of the peptic ulcer, a particular tumor is formed that is called as gastrinoma in the duodenal part, okay. So this tumor is mainly responsible for the excessive secretion of gastrin, and this excessive secretion of gastrin will also result into the secretion of HCl. So this excessive secretion of HCl also increase the chance of peptic ulcer. So this is called as Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, and this medication H2 receptor blocker is also used to treat that Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. The main examples are cimetidine, ranitidine, famotidine, etc. These are the main drugs. So the next part is PPI or proton pump inhibitors. What are the proton pump inhibitors? They are mainly omeprazole, pantoprazole, lansoprazole, etc. And how they works? Their mechanism of action is like that. In the acidic pH of stomach, or when the pH of the stomach is highly acidic, then we can use that medication. Particularly this medication is used in empty stomach. When it is used in empty stomach and if the acidity is persist, then this medication develops it into or breaks down it into two cationic forms. Mainly one is sulfenic acid and what is sulfonamide. So these two cationic forms are break down from that particular medication in the pH where the pH is very acidic. Okay, so after the breakdown of these two cationic forms, they are mainly used to inactivate the SH or sulfhydryl group of H plus K plus ATPase. H plus K plus ATPase is an enzyme which is also called as proton pump. So this proton pump is responsible for the excess acid secretion, and if we block that proton pump, then the acid secretion will be inhibited. So this medication is used to inhibit that proton pump, means H plus K plus ATPase. So by this activity, by the use of sulfonic acid and sulfonamide, this proton pump inhibits the itself or inhibits the particular acid secretion. So after the inhibition of that proton pump, it deactivates and HCl secretion is decreased. So these are the main examples. So number 3 is ulcer protectives. What are ulcer protectives? They are mainly creating a layer over the ulcer formed. Okay. So in the acidic solution or in the acidic solution of stomach, they are binds with the albumin and fibrinogen of ulcer site. Okay. So after binding with the albumin and fibrinogen, they forms a complex or protective coating over the ulcer. So the ulcer gets time to heal. Okay, so this type of medications are mainly used to coat the particular ulcer, so the ulcer will be healed as near as possible. Okay, does not have acid neutralizing capacity, so they are not having the acid neutralizing capacity also. Main example is sucralfate. Okay, this sucralfate is a sulfated disaccharide of aluminium salt. They are mainly used as a coating agent, and they are also systemic, means non-systemic means they are not absorbing in the blood. Okay, so the next one is number 4 is prostaglandins. What are prostaglandins? Mainly PGE1 and PGE2. They are mainly used to increase the secretion of mucus and bicarbonate ions, and this mucus and bicarbonate ions are very responsible for the healing of ulcer, because mucus protects the ulcer from the ACL, and also bicarbonate ion is used to neutralize that ACL. So these prostaglandins are very important to secrete the mucus and bicarbonate ions and to heal the ulcer. The example is misoprostol. It is a prostaglandin analog. Next one is antispasmodics. What are antispasmodics? They are the anticholinergics, mainly used to inhibit the intestinal spasm. And if the intestinal spasm is decreased, then also the pepsin and acid secretion will be inhibited, and also the ulcer will be healed. So these antispasmodics are also used to treat the peptic ulcer, as for example any type of anticholinergic drug like atropine, etc., etc. Okay. Next, number 6 is anti-H. pylori drugs. So what are H. pylori? H. pylori is mainly a gram-negative bacteria. It also forms or colonize in the stomach, in the acidic environment of stomach, and it forms urease activity, which mainly forms the ammonia or nitrogen inside the stomach. It will create a basic environment inside the stomach, as well as it will create a protective coating outside the particular bacteria, as it will be enriched or colonized into the hostile environment of stomach. So in case of this urease activity, the nitrogen is formed or ammonia is formed, and it will change the environment of the stomach into basic, but the stomach tries to remain in the acidic environment. So it creates more and more back diffusion of H plus ions. So this back diffusion of H plus ions also create the ACL, or this excess ACL also create ulcer. So this type of H. pylori or Helicobacter pylori bacteria is responsible for creation of ulcer. So if we want to treat that Helicobacter pylori induced ulcer, you have to treat or you have to kill that particular bacteria, and for killing that particular bacteria, different types of antibiotics are used like amoxicillin, clarithromycin, metronidazole, tinidazole, etc. If we use that type of antibiotics, then they will kill the particular H. pylori bacteria, and with them the PPI and H2 blockers are also used to decrease the acid production. So this regimen of the medication is called as anti-H. pylori kit. So in the anti-H. pylori kit, in the marketed product, one antibiotic is there, and with them a PPI or proton pump inhibitor or H2 blocker is there. Okay, so this is called as anti-H. pylori kit. So this is all total about the peptic ulcer pharmacology, or how to treat the peptic ulcer. Okay, so we have to study the 3 parts, mainly the general measures, mainly the antacids, and also the antipeptic ulcer agents. Okay, the main difference between the antipeptic ulcer agent and antacid is antacids are used to neutralize the produced gastric acid, but anti-H. pylori medications are not going to neutralize the produced gastric acid. They are only inhibit the secretion of that particular gastric acid. So this is the main difference between them. Okay, so this is all about pharmacology of peptic ulcer. I have given also the link of my previous video on the pathophysiology of peptic ulcer, and also some study materials for you about that pharmacology of peptic ulcer in the description box of that video. Please go through them, and please like, subscribe, comment and share my channel, and see you later. Thank you.